They thought they were rescuing him, but within months, the dog they almost left behind at that shelter became the only reason one of them is still alive. And here's the part that gets us every time. This is happening far more often than anyone realizes. Let me tell you about a dog named Bruno. He was a big, gangly shepherd mix with one ear that never quite stood up straight. He'd been at the shelter for almost 8 months. 8 months. People walked past his kennel every single day. He wasn't a puppy anymore. He wasn't the smallest or the fluffiest. He was just waiting. And on the other side of this story is a woman named Karen. Karen lived alone. She just moved to a new town after a hard year, and honestly, she wasn't even sure she wanted a dog. Her sister had practically dragged her to the shelter that Saturday. "Get out of the house," her sister said. "Just look." Now, here's the thing about Karen. She had a heart condition, the kind doctors monitor carefully, the kind that can turn dangerous without warning. But she didn't walk into that shelter thinking about her heart. She walked in thinking she'd say hello to a few dogs and go home. And then she got to the very last kennel, the one everyone walked past. Bruno didn't jump, he didn't bark. He just walked to the front of the kennel, sat down, and looked up at her. And here's the part that gets us. He leaned. He pressed his whole big body against the metal bars, right toward her, like he already knew. Karen stood there for a long time. Something about those eyes. She said later she felt like he was choosing her, not the other way around. So she filled out the paperwork, and that scruffy shepherd with the floppy ear went home. Now, the first few weeks were normal. Slow walks, learning each other's routines, Bruno figuring out which spot on the couch was his, which of course turned out to be all of them. But something strange started happening, and the reason why is stranger than you'd think. We'll get to that. Some nights, Bruno would get restless. He'd nudge Karen, paw at her, whine at her when nothing was wrong. She'd check the doors, check the windows, nothing. She figured he was just a nervous rescue, still settling in. But then came the night that changed everything. Karen had gone to bed early. She felt fine, totally normal. And around 2 a.m, Bruno went absolutely wild. He chomped on the bed, he barked in her face, he pulled the blanket clean off with his teeth. Karen woke up annoyed, honestly, until she tried to sit up, and she couldn't. Her heart was racing out of rhythm, her chest was tight, the room was spinning. This was the emergency her doctors had warned her about, happening right then, in the dark, with no one around to help. No one except a dog who wouldn't stop. Karen managed to grab her phone off the nightstand, because Bruno had knocked it close enough to reach, and she called for help. And here's the part that still gives us chills. When the paramedics arrived, Bruno led them straight down the hall to her bedroom. Wouldn't leave her side, not for a second. The doctors told her something she'll never forget. A few more minutes without help, and it could have been fatal. That dog, that overlooked, 8 months waiting, almost left behind dog, he saved her life. But remember that open loop? Why was Bruno acting strange on all those earlier nights? Here's where it gets remarkable. Researchers have found that some dogs can actually detect changes in a person's body chemistry. Shifts in heart rhythm, subtle changes in scent, tiny things we can't perceive. Bruno hadn't been anxious on those nights. He'd been warning her every single time. And he was never trained to do any of it. No service dog program, no special certification, just a shelter dog with an instinct nobody knew he had. Now here's what really gets me. Karen looked into it afterward, and she found story after story after story. A rescue cat waking a family during a house fire, a shelter dog sensing a stroke hours before it happened, a 3-legged mutt who wouldn't stop pawing at a spot on his owner's leg, a spot that turned out to be cancer, caught early enough to treat. These aren't rare miracles. They're happening quietly, all over the world, in ordinary homes with ordinary rescued animals. The ones nobody wanted, the ones who waited the longest. And there's something almost impossible to explain about it. We adopt these animals thinking we're doing them a kindness, thinking we're the heroes of the story. And then, so often, they turn around and become ours. Bruno and Karen are inseparable now. He still sleeps at the foot of her bed. He still leans his whole body into her when she sits down, just like he did that first day at the shelter. And Karen will tell anyone who listens, she didn't rescue him, not really. He rescued her. So let me leave you with this. Right now, in a shelter somewhere near you, there's a dog at the very back, the one everyone walks past, the one who's been waiting 8 months, or 10, or 12, and you have no idea what that dog already knows about you. You have no idea what he could become. Have you ever had a pet who seemed to sense something before you did? A dog who knew, a cat who warned you, an animal who was there at exactly the right moment? Tell me about them in the comments. I read every single one, and these stories mean the world to me. And if this story moved you even a little, hit that like button. It genuinely helps us find and share more stories just like Bruno's.